Hello there, kids. Today we are going to learn how to change a number into words. Before we are going to do that, you have to be familiar with some spelling of the numbers. I am going to leave this on the screen. You may take a pause and be familiar with their spelling, especially with the numbers 4, 14, and 40. Okay, please take note of that. And also the numbers from 10 to 19 because the rest of the numbers are just easy. We should know the basic place value. We have the ones and we also have the tens. Okay, so to start with, the numbers that we place in the ones place are read as, for example, this is read as 1. This is read as 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But for a 0, you don't say anything at all. Okay, you do not mention that number. For example, 604. You don't read the number like that. 705. No, that is wrong. You just mention it as 705 or 705. Okay, just to make it clear, none. You don't say anything or you don't write anything. Let's now go to the next place value. Okay, for tens, there are little complicated numbers. Not actually complicated, but as a beginner, you might get confused with it. And these numbers are from 10 to 19 because the following numbers will just be easy. Okay, so take note that that 10 is actually written this way. This in tens and this one in ones. And this number is entirely read as 10. 11 is written this way. Ones and tens. We have to separate them according to their place value. Okay? And this number is read as 11. The next number is 12. Then again, we have to follow the place value. And this is spelled as 12. Next number, 13. Make sure to follow the place value. And this is spelled as 13. Next number, 14. So if you notice the spelling, I will just explain it here. That 4 and 14, they have the same basis, the first few letters. But for the number 40, you don't spell 40 as F-O-U-R-T-Y. No, that's wrong. You spell 40 without the U. And that is it. Okay, so going back to our topic. So we have 15. Okay, we are not going to do this all the way to 99, only until 19, just to show the difference of how they are read. Because other numbers, once you reach 20, it is a lot easier for you to read the number. 16, 17, 18, and of course we have 19. Okay, now these numbers are the ones that can be complicated for some. Okay, but once you reach 20, everything will be a lot easier. Okay, let's try to do that. Okay, let's now try numbers going from 20 to 99. Okay, so for now, we are going from numbers 20 to 99. Again, we are not going to talk about this one by one like what we did earlier, because those numbers earlier, most students tend to find it difficult. Okay, so in this case, it will be a lot easier. So for example, 20. 20 is actually written where 2 belongs to the tens place and 0 belongs to the ones place. And this is read as just 20 alone. Okay. Now, what happens if there is another number placed in the ones place? Let's say it's 3. So all you have to do, since earlier the number was read as 20 alone, and since there is a 3, all you have to do is just to add 3. So that's 23. And take note that we have a hyphen over here, or a dash. This is basically like a formal way of writing numbers, where numbers that belongs to the tens and ones, or how you read them together, they should be hyphenated, which means there should be a hyphen or a dash in between those words. Okay? Let's try another number, which is, let's say, 9. So how do you read this? Knowing that this is read as 9, all you have to do is just to write 9. So that's a total of 29. Let's try to change the value in our tens. So let's take the number as 40. You know that this is now spelled as 40. Just 40 alone, since the value in the ones is 0. Now, what if you're going to change the value to 7? This is now read as 47, which means all you need to do is just to write the word 7, and that is it. Now, let's say we have the number 90. 90 spelled as 9T. Okay? What if there is a value in our ones place? Let's say it's 2. It is now read as 92. All you have to do is just to write the number 2 there. Okay? Now, everything is so easy, like what I've told you earlier. Let us consider tens and ones as our best friends. Okay. Tens and ones are best friends. Why? Because they are often read as 1. Okay? They are read as 1 because among all the given place value, tens and ones are read as 1, often read as 1. Let's try to add an additional place value, which is in this case is hundreds. Okay. So if you notice earlier, if you are not going to pay attention to this part over here, if we are not going to pay attention to this part, this is read as how? Like how you have learned earlier. This is basically read as 43, correct? So we now have 43. I hope I did not forget the hyphen earlier while writing other examples. So in this case, just to remind everyone, please do write the hyphen or this one, this sign over here, as a formality of writing numbers. If I forgot to write them earlier, then I apologize for that. Okay. Now going back, let us now include this digit over here. What number do you see here? This number is spelled as 2. What place value is it in? If you notice, it is under the hundreds value, which means in this case, we have 200. Okay. Do not add the s, as this only implies to the place value. Okay. So which means we now have this number as 243. Or in formality again, you can write this as 243. So it actually depends. I will basically accept any of the two as they don't differ that much in the real world. Okay? Let's try to add another number or change the values rather. For example, we have 862. Then again, so that it will be easier for you, we have our best friends here, and like how you have learned numbers earlier, this should be read as 62. Okay? And how do you write the number entirely? Then again, all you have to do is just to take this value and spell it out. This number is 8. Please try to master the spelling of 8 because most students tend to misspell the number 8. Okay? Some of them interchange the H and T and write T and H instead. Okay? So 8, and since it belongs to the hundreds place, all you have to do is just to write the 100. And that is it. Reading the number entirely, that's 862, or like what I've said earlier, 862. Please take note of the hyphens again. It is important. Okay? Let's try another number. Let's say... Okay, so what do you notice here? Our ones has a value of 0. So you don't read this number as, well, technically all you have to do is just to read this number because since these are our best friends, you read this number as 50 alone. Okay? Let me rewrite that. You read this number as just 50 alone. Please do not write 50 0. Okay? It doesn't make sense as to you do not say the digit 0 in a number. Okay, you do not do that. You do not read it like how you read the number 0. Okay, so it should just be 50 and not 50, just to take note. Okay, removing that, let me rewrite that part over here. 50. And what is this number here? What is this number over here? It's 9. And it belongs to the hundreds place. And this should be, so this should be written as 900. So reading this number entirely, it gives us 950, or then again, 900 and and 50. Okay, let's try to get another example. Let's try 408. Okay, 408. Looking at our best friends, no tens, which means you don't say 0. You just read what is given there. So in this case, we have this. So all you have to do is just to write 8. No 0. Okay, no 0. And what's left is this digit over here, which is 4. And since it belongs to the hundreds place, all you have to do is just to add 100 to it. And reading this number entirely, it's 408. Then again, for formality's sake, it should be written as 408. Okay, so if you are a grade 2, you can stop watching now and proceed to what you're supposed to do. For grade 3, 4, 5, continue watching. Just to let you know that earlier, we can actually group this as one family. And we can call this as our basic unit family. Why do I call this as our basic unit family? Because other numbers will basically be read the same as how you read the numbers that belong in this basic unit family. Okay? Knowing that there is a certain rule, numbers, for example, numbers are separated by a comma. And we should only include 3 digits per group, starting from the ones. So we have 5, 1, 2, 3, and we put a comma here. This comma basically separates the family that we have. So if you can see that this family is our basic unit family. And we now have another family here, which I will discuss later. So let's try to add numbers. Then again, since we now have thousands, we should separate the numbers by a comma and group them by 3, starting from the ones, going all the way to the hundreds. So from here, all the way to the hundreds, which already gives us one group, which is the basic unit family. So we now put a comma here to separate or to group the numbers. So now, reading the basic unit that we have, you have this value over here, the best friends, as how we titled it earlier. Knowing how to read earlier, this should give us 29. And since we have this value over here, 3, which falls under the hundreds place, so all you have to do is just to add the 100. word. So that's equivalent to 329. Okay, if you notice that we have this certain number over here, 6, that belongs to the thousands place, which means all you have to do is just to write 6 and add 1,000 to it. So that's a total of 6,329, writing it as 1. And in formality, we add and 29. Okay. So reading the number entirely, we have 6,329. Okay. So let's try to add another number. Okay, so we have 6708. Okay. Noticing our best friends, tens is missing, so only ones is given, which should only be read as 8. And in the hundreds, we have 7, so that should be read as 7. Then we have hundreds, or just hundreds, sorry, without the S. And also for the thousands, we have 6. Then we add 1,000 to it. So that's 6,708, or written formally, 6,700 and 8. Do not forget, by the way, to separate them by a comma. Okay. So going advanced, if you are in grade 3, you can stop the video here. But if you want to learn more, you can go on. Okay, for the higher grades, I'm going to bump up the place value up to millions, just for advanced learning for the grades, for the grade 4. And this will basically be the main topic for the grade 5 as well. Okay. Let's try to put a digit and let's go through it one by one. I'll skip to 10,000s. If you noticed earlier, I have mentioned about the basic units family, which belongs to this place. And from here, we have another family. We actually have two other families here. If you notice, starting from the 100,000s, 10,000s, all the way to thousands. Okay, if you can see that all of them end with the term thousands. So in this case, we name this family as the thousands family. Okay. Why are they named thousands family? This is for you to easily remember how to call them, how to mention, or how to write them down in words. Okay. And we also see here the millions family. We also have the millions family here. We will go to this later. So reading this one by one again. Having our best friends, we read them as 35 as how you have learned to read it earlier. That's 30 hyphen 5. So that's a total of 35. And you can see we have this unit of 4 here under the hundreds place. So this should be read as 400. So that's 435 or 435. So this is our basic units family. Okay, 435. Going to the next family, we have the thousands family earlier. We also have this number over here, as you can see. If I'm going to put this or separate this number here just for us to be able to see it clearly, 6, 3. How do you read this number alone? Like how you read the best friends on the basic units family. So you would read this as 63. Correct. 63. 63. 63 what? Since it falls under the thousands family, which is under hundred thousands, ten thousands, and the thousands unit itself, all you have to do is just to add the word thousand to it. So which means in this case, this is read as 63,435. So if you notice, I separated them because it won't fit as how we started writing the number. So let's try to write it now in one line at least. So 63,400. It didn't fit in one line. It's okay. 35. Or by simply adding "and" there. 63,435. Okay, so that is how you read numbers that reaches up to the 10,000s place. Let's try to add a certain digit. Okay, so we now have 378,028. Again, we have certain families here. We have the basic units family and the thousands family. And since numbers are basically grouped into three, starting from the ones, so that's ones, tens, hundreds, and put a comma over here. Okay, you do not group them like you can. It doesn't mean that you just put random commas everywhere. They should be grouped into three digits. They should be grouped where each group has three digits in it. So that's basically how you group the numbers, and they are grouped according to their family. Like what I've mentioned earlier, in this case, we have the basic units family and we have the thousands family. So reading this, if you notice that we have a value of 0 here for the hundreds place, which means you do not say anything under the hundreds. And the best friends here is read as 28. There's no hundreds value, so you do not say anything under the hundreds place. Okay. So earlier, if you notice, this is another group. And if we are going to take that out, since it's another family, let's try to take that out first, just for you to further understand how you read the number. It's like we are basically having the same way of reading this number as of the basic units family. We have the best friends here, which you would basically read as 78. And you have 3 that basically falls under the hundreds place. It's just that in this family, it belongs to the hundred thousands since it's in the thousands family. But if you notice that, it still falls under hundreds, just like this one over here. Okay, so this is read as 300. So it's 378. 378. Yes, but if you notice that they belong or this number belongs to the thousands family, which means you really need to add the thousand or the word thousand. Okay, so that's 378,000. Putting them as one in one sentence, that is 378,000. What's the number earlier? 81, or formality, sorry, 28 and 28, which means that this number is read as 378,028. Let's try to add a millions value. Okay, we now have this number over here, which is 2305976. And remember, we tend to group them, separating them by a comma. So let's start from the ones. So do we have 1, 2, 3, comma here, and another 1, 2, 3, another comma here. And if you notice, we now have three families. We have the basic units family over here, the thousands family, which is in this case, and we now have the millions family. Complicated? No. It's very easy. Let's try to read this number, starting from the basic units family. Well, for now, since still you're learning, we start from the basic units first. As you would practice more, you'll be able to read it according to its family, starting from the biggest place value given. Okay. Let's try to read it that way later. Let's start from the biggest given place value. But for now, this is just to track back how you read the number entirely and write them down in words. So for example, again, we have our best friends. We have 76. We have a unit for the hundreds place, so that's 900. So this is our value for the basic units family. So that's 976. Okay. For the next family, we have this number, which is 305. So all you have to do is just to read this number as if it belongs to the basic units family. So in that case, you only have 05, so that's 5, and you have the units for 3, which falls under the hundreds family technically. It's just that in the thousands family. So all you have to do now is to read this as 305. But remember that since this number belongs to the thousands family, you have to add the word thousand. Okay, so going to the next family, we have the millions. And since we only have this digit over here, 2, which falls under the millions place, all you have to do is just to write 2 and add the place value, which is in million. So reading the number entirely, this is 2,305,976. So we basically now have 3825641. Don't forget to group them according to how you're supposed to group them by placing a comma. So in this case, we have one here and we have another one here. So let's now try to read this number starting from the biggest given place value, which is in this case is millions. So to check, we have only 3 there. So that's equivalent to 3 million. The next family, which is the thousands family, if you're going to read this given number in, or how you read it as a basic unit family.
That's equivalent to 825.
Okay?
But since it belongs to the thousands family, don't forget to add the word thousand. That is very important.
Else your answer will be wrong.
And reading the last family,
Which is the basic units family. We have our best friend there, 41, and the value of 6 in the hundreds.
so that's equivalent to 641.
Okay. So that's basically it. That's how you write a number in 2 words. Or technically, how you read a number.